this episode, we look at external reporting, bug bounty programs, and responsible disclosure as organized ways for people outside an organization to report security weaknesses. This topic matters because not every vulnerability is found by an internal security team, a scanner, or a scheduled assessment. Sometimes a weakness is discovered by an independent researcher, a customer, a partner, or someone who notices behavior that does not seem right. Without a clear reporting path, that person may not know where to send the information, what details to include, or whether reporting the issue could create legal trouble. A mature organization does not treat every outside report as a nuisance or a threat. It builds a process that can receive the report, understand it, verify it, fix the problem, and communicate professionally with the person who found it. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at Cyber.Me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A bug bounty program is a structured program that invites external researchers to look for security weaknesses within defined boundaries. The organization sets the rules, explains what systems are in scope, describes what kinds of testing are allowed, and may offer rewards for valid findings. The reward might be money, public recognition, points on a platform, or simply a formal thank you, depending on how the program is designed. The main idea is that the organization is choosing to create a safe and controlled channel for vulnerability discovery instead of hoping nobody looks. This does not mean the organization is inviting unlimited attacks against everything it owns. A good program is careful, narrow enough to protect operations, and clear enough that a researcher understands what is permitted before doing any testing. Responsible disclosure is closely related, but it is not exactly the same thing as a bug bounty. Responsible disclosure means a person who finds a vulnerability reports it to the organization in a way that gives the organization a fair chance to investigate and remediate before the issue becomes public. There may or may not be a reward. The focus is on communication, safety, and reducing harm. When responsible disclosure works well, the researcher provides enough information for the organization to understand the issue, the organization acknowledges the report, and both sides avoid unnecessary public exposure while the issue is being handled. This approach recognizes that vulnerabilities can affect real users, real data, and real systems. The goal is not to embarrass the organization. The goal is to reduce risk in a professional way. Scope is one of the most important parts of any external reporting program because it tells researchers where the boundaries are. Scope defines which applications, domains, cloud services, application programming interfaces, API, mobile apps, or other assets are allowed for testing. It also defines what is out of scope, such as employee devices, physical locations, third-party services, production systems that cannot tolerate active testing, or social engineering against staff. Good scope protects the organization and the researcher at the same time. The organization reduces the chance of disruption, and the researcher has a clearer understanding of what activity is authorized. When scope is vague, problems follow quickly. Someone may test the wrong system, touch a partner environment, cause instability, or submit reports that the organization is not prepared to handle. Communication is what keeps an external reporting process from turning into confusion. When a report arrives, the organization should acknowledge it, assign it to the right team, and keep a record of what was submitted. The first response does not need to promise a fix or accept the finding as valid. It simply lets the reporter know that the message was received and will be reviewed. From there, communication should stay professional, calm, and consistent. The organization may need to ask for more details, such as affected URLs, screenshots, timestamps, affected accounts, or a description of the impact. At the same time, the organization should avoid asking the researcher to perform risky extra testing unless that activity is clearly authorized. Good communication reduces frustration and helps both sides focus on the security issue rather than the process around it. Validation is the step where the organization determines whether the report is accurate, reproducible, and meaningful. Not every report is a true vulnerability. Some reports describe expected behavior, low-risk issues, duplicate findings, outdated information, or misunderstandings about how a system works. Other reports may identify serious weaknesses that need fast action. The team reviewing the report needs to confirm the issues safely, understand what conditions are required, and estimate the potential impact. This usually means looking at the affected system, checking logs, reviewing application behavior, and comparing the finding against known security expectations. Validation should be careful because a report can sound dramatic while having limited impact, or it can sound simple while revealing a major exposure. The point is to make a reasoned decision based on evidence, not on the emotional tone of the report. Remediation coordination begins once the organization understands that a report identifies a real issue. Fixing a vulnerability may involve application developers, infrastructure teams, cloud administrators, identity teams, vendors, business owners, legal staff, or communications staff. A small coding mistake might be fixed quickly by a development team. A deeper design weakness may require planning, testing, and coordination across several systems. The security team often acts as the connection point between the external reporter and the internal teams that can make changes. This coordination matters because a finding is not truly resolved just because someone opened a ticket. The organization needs to track ownership, priority, expected completion, testing, and final verification. A report becomes useful when it leads to actual risk reduction, not just when it is documented. Legal boundaries are a major reason external reporting programs need clear rules. Security testing can look similar to unauthorized activity if the organization has not defined what is allowed. A researcher might interact with login pages, input fields, session tokens, or account permissions in ways that could trigger alerts or raise legal concerns. A responsible program explains acceptable testing behavior, prohibited actions, and safe harbor expectations. Safe harbor means the organization states that it will not pursue legal action against researchers who act in good faith and follow the program rules. That protection usually has limits. It does not allow data theft, extortion, denial of service, privacy invasion, persistence, malware, or testing against systems outside the approved scope. Legal clarity helps honest researchers participate while still protecting the organization from harmful activity. A mature program also explains what evidence a researcher should provide and what evidence should not be collected. A researcher may need to show that a vulnerability exists, but that does not mean they should download large amounts of data, access other people's private information, or continue exploring after proving the issue. The safest proof is usually the minimum evidence needed to demonstrate impact. For example, showing that access control fails with a test account is very different from collecting sensitive customer records. This is why program rules often tell researchers to stop once they can demonstrate the weakness safely. The organization should make it easy to report without encouraging deeper intrusion. You can think of the report as a way to document risk, not as permission to fully exploit every possible consequence of the vulnerability. Triage helps the organization decide how urgent a reported vulnerability is. A report that exposes sensitive data to the public is very different from a minor issue that requires unlikely conditions and has little impact. Triage considers exploitability, business impact, affected users, data sensitivity, exposure to the internet, and whether active abuse is already suspected. The organization may also consider whether the same issue appears in multiple places or whether the finding affects a core system. Triage is not only about technical severity. A weakness in a public-facing customer portal may require different handling than a similar weakness in a limited internal test environment. The goal is to prioritize the work so the most harmful risks are handled first. This keeps the process practical when many reports, alerts, and internal tasks are competing for attention. External reports also need to be integrated into normal security operations. A vulnerability report should not live in an isolated inbox where only one person can see it. It should connect to ticketing, risk tracking, remediation workflows, and reporting channels. If the report involves possible exploitation, it may also connect to incident response. Logs may need to be reviewed to see whether anyone else discovered and abused the same weakness before the report arrived. Asset owners may need to confirm what data or services are affected. Leadership may need a plain language summary if the risk is serious. This is where external reporting becomes part of the broader security program. The finding comes from outside, but the response depends on internal processes that already support detection, investigation, remediation, and accountability. There are common misunderstandings around bug bounty and responsible disclosure programs that can cause problems. One misunderstanding is that a bug bounty replaces internal security testing. It does not. Secure design, code review, vulnerability scanning, penetration testing, and configuration management still matter. A bounty program adds another source of visibility, but it does not guarantee that every weakness will be found. Another misunderstanding is that more reports always mean more security. Reports are useful only when the organization can triage and remediate them effectively. A flood of low-quality submissions can consume time without reducing meaningful risk. A third misunderstanding is that responsible disclosure is only about the researcher behaving responsibly. The organization also has responsibilities. It should provide a clear channel, respond professionally, handle reports fairly, and avoid punishing good faith reporting that follows the rules. Reputation is another reason these programs matter. Researchers talk to each other, customers notice how organizations handle security, and poor communication can damage trust. If an organization ignores reports, threatens good faith researchers, or takes months to acknowledge serious issues, people may decide that private reporting is not worth the effort. That can increase the chance of public disclosure before a fix is ready. On the other hand, when an organization communicates clearly and handles reports fairly, it encourages safer behavior. This does not mean every reporter will be easy to work with, and it does not mean every report will be valuable. It means the organization has chosen professionalism as the default response. That professionalism can turn an uncomfortable discovery into a useful security improvement. At the Security Plus level, you do not need to memorize every possible bug bounty platform feature or legal phrase. You should understand the purpose of these programs and the main pieces that make them work. External reporting gives people outside the organization a defined way to submit vulnerability information. Bug bounty programs add structure, rules, scope, and sometimes rewards. Responsible disclosure focuses on reporting in a way that gives the organization time to fix the problem before public exposure. Scope keeps testing within authorized boundaries. Communication keeps the process clear. Validation separates real findings from noise. Remediation coordination turns a report into a fix. Legal boundaries protect both sides when everyone acts in good faith. When these pieces work together, outside discoveries can become part of a safer and more mature security program. The main takeaway is that external vulnerability reporting is not just a mailbox for bad news. It is a trust-building process that helps an organization learn about weaknesses before attackers can fully take advantage of them. When you hear bug bounty, think of an organized invitation with rules, scope, and possible rewards. When you hear responsible disclosure, think of a careful reporting relationship designed to reduce harm while a fix is prepared. Both approaches depend on clear expectations, respectful communication, accurate validation, coordinated remediation, and well-defined legal boundaries. You do not need to treat every outside report as a crisis, and you should not dismiss every outside report as noise. A strong security program knows how to receive uncomfortable information, make sense of it, and turn it into action that protects people, systems, and data.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.